CCGs and TCGs, collectible card games and trading card games. If you were born in, a little before, and pretty much any time after the 90s, you or your brother probably collected Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh! Mon cards, Magic Mon cards, and even Magic Mike cards. These games consist of buying card packs and trading with other collectors to fill out your collection while also trying to build a deck to defeat any other kid on the playground, or for grown men to open on a live stream for millions of dollars a day. The TCG craze blew up so big in the 90s that everyone wanted to get in on it, but dropping the game aspect to make it a little easier. Companies started licensing out their movies, so Topps or whoever could take a couple of screenshots from the movie, write a brief description on the back, and throw it in a Pop-Tart package with 6 other screenshots and a stale piece of bubblegum to get sold for $10. These are just known as trading cards. They have no game attached to them outside of collecting. So unless you like Grease that much, there probably isn't a reason to buy a pack of Grease cards.
What are you doing?
Outside of baseball and other sports cards, there isn't much of a market for these collectible-only cards. Most don't really make it past one series like the Garbage Pail Kids have. In the modern digital age, some companies like Topps and Wizards of the Coast have even turned to running digital versions of their cards. And let me be clear, these aren't NFTs, but they are my very long-winded way of getting to today's topic, Marvel Snap. Now you may be asking, what is Marvel Snap? Probably not, because I constantly see ads for it on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and pretty much anywhere on the internet an ad can be placed. It's nearly inescapable. If you don't know, because you care so little about superheroes that your targeted ads show you things like makeup and soap or whatever. First, how the hell did you get here? Second, why have you watched this far into the video? If you have seen the ads, maybe you've seen this one floating around. This has nothing to do with Marvel Snap, outside of the Marvel characters. It's so sad to see Marvel take the Merge Mansion approach to advertising.
What
Wait, what?
Marvel Snap is actually, you guessed it, a digital CCG, a game based on collecting better and better cards used to defeat your opponent. But it's digital. Marvel Snap is the debut game from development studio Second Dinner, a studio formed of ex-Hearthstone developers. And it's clear as day that Marvel Snap was built upon the bones of Hearthstone, but they made it not lame this time. It released to PC and mobile phone platforms in beta to select players, before launching in full to the public October 18th of 2022, which makes this the most relevant video I've ever done. I usually get around to talking about things like months after release. So that's what Marvel Snap is. But how does it work? The game is built for one-on-one quick games to be played in roughly 3 minutes or so. The game board consists of 3 random locations from the Marvel Universe, with only one being revealed at the beginning of the game, and with the other 2 revealing within the next 2 turns. Each location will have a different effect, and the goal is to have the most points on 2 out of the 3 locations at the end of the 6 turns of gameplay. Like the locations, you're only given 1 energy point at the beginning of the game, gaining 1 more each turn all the way to 6. Each card has a set energy value and a point value. For example, Captain America has an energy value of 3 and a point value of 3. So it's going to cost you 3 energy to lay him down, and he will also give you 3 points. But what makes this game interesting is the thousands of combinations of cards you can use together to try to claim victory. Instead of being a money pit like your average free-to-play games, your money's no good here. Well, it is, but it's definitely not worth it. Cards are collected by raising your collection level, which is done by upgrading cards. Playing games and completing challenges will earn you credits and upgrade points to upgrade cards from the base card, to frame break, to 3D, animated, shiny logo, animated frame, and lastly, infinity level. And I think this is really what hooked me with Marvel Snap. The card collection being very accessible really speaks to that achievement hunting side of my brain, because the next card is only a few levels away. And I've done card collecting before. Sure, I had the Pokemon cards as a kid, I had a Magic phase just like everyone else. But those things cost money, and I'm a grown man, not a loser. I need that money for toys and video games. Sure, you can spend money on the season pass for $10, or even on different card variants and extra units, but those two things are wildly overpriced. You're better off just playing the game and saving up that free gold you get occasionally for your variants, and the challenges net you so many units you probably won't ever have to buy them if you consistently play. Now, I've made the game sound really simple at first, but it's surprisingly complex for a game that's played so quickly. Now, sure, you can just throw a bunch of random cards together in a deck and try to make it work, but if you'll notice, a lot of players out there build specialty decks designed for different strategies. You can build a deck of all low-cost cards that build on each other to fill the field with a massive amount of cards that boost the power way up. Or a deck designed to sacrifice your lower-cost cards to build up others, leaving you minimal cards on the board, but with all high point values. I've even seen decks that don't use abilities at all, but somehow rack up massive point values. Or even decks built for low points, but also drop the score of the opponent. The deck building concept certainly isn't new. It's very common in other CCGs, like Magic the Gathering. But they made it not lame. Magic's not lame, I'm just goofing with the Magic nerds. But they did make it much more accessible by only having 12 cards in a deck. Have you ever tried to build a Magic deck? You practically need a spreadsheet to manage all the cards you're using. But it may not matter how much you work on the deck, because you can get hit with a location that ruins every strategy you have going into the game. Locations vary with different effects, with places like Limbo that adds a 7th turn to the game, Mindscape that swaps your hand with your opponent on the 6th turn, or Ego that just takes over and plays the game for you, leaving the game entirely up to chance. At the time of writing this script, Marvel Snap has 110 locations, with more being added all the time. So you can't just run into battle with the same strategy every time. You really have to think on your feet from game to game. But it's okay if you lose, because you'll be right back to winning the next game in 3 minutes. The short snappiness is really what keeps me going. It's so easy to drop into a game and be done quickly while you're waiting on something or before bed. But you can also spend a lot of time with card upgrading and deck building and playing game after game. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is the snap mechanic. All the matchups in the game are based off your ranking. If you have a low rank, you'll play against less skilled players, and vice versa. Your ranking is based off the amount of games you win. But during the games, you can tap the snap box at the top of the screen to wager your ranking. Each player can snap back and forth to up the amount of ranking you'll increase or drop if you win or lose. But just like everything else in this game, snapping also has a strategy to it. If the stakes are too high, you have the option to retreat to save yourself from dropping the new higher amount of rank. If a snap is done, the other player has the option to retreat instead of taking a turn, accepting the loss at whatever the snap level was on the previous turn. And once or twice I've ended up with no winning moves, but bluffed my way through by snapping as much as possible to trick the other player into retreating. See? Gambling isn't all bad.
Awesome. I want adult measles.
In short, Marvel Snap is ridiculously fun and addictive. I've never really been a mobile game player, but the shortness of the game constantly drags me back in, even sometimes when it may not be appropriate. It serves the mobile purpose, like Candy Crush or the word game my wife likes to play, being simple and quick, or I can sit down at my PC and lose track of time snapping away. I've actually found myself really wanting it to get ported to consoles. It would be great to play a round or two after a long gamer session to wind down at the end of the night, so I'm not playing it in bed till 1 in the morning. It's definitely not because I want Marvel Snap achievements. The game is also consistently being updated and altered, with a new PvP mode to play against your friend announced to be coming soon, plus new season battle passes and different locations of the week. And the ranking system keeps the game from getting stale. Just when you think you're getting good, you'll start the next game, and a minute and a half later, somebody manages to somehow get 2,500 points, knocking that confidence down a couple 40 pegs. Anyways, that's Marvel Snap. You should play it if you haven't. You've already wasted valuable time by not playing it while watching this video. You could have fit in like 6 games during this. And a quick side note, if you've ever seen the 10 Commandments, not like the actual ones, but like a picture of them, you can see in really fine print at the bottom it says I must gain 1 new subscriber for every time I said snap in this video. So that's like 1 million subscribers or something. Crazy how they were able to chisel print that small. Anyways, go play Marvel Snap.
Hey, I just wanted it to be known that I did film a lot of that Marvel Snap clips like a month ago. I'm actually a level 358.